I'm going to ask 25 how often do you questions. I just want you to answer the questions as quickly as possible. Here we go. How often do you eat junk food?
Once a month.
How often do you read a book?
Once a week.
How often do you go shopping?
Once a week.
How often do you do laundry?
3 times a week.
How often do you cook?
Every day.
How often do you exercise?
Every day.
How often do you call your dad?
Not often enough.
How often do you check your phone?
Every day.
How often do you go out with your friends?
Once a week.
How often do you drink tea?
Every day.
How often do you play mobile games?
Every day.
How often do you take the subway?
Every day for work.
How often do you visit the UK?
Once every 5 years.
How often do you drink coffee?
4 times a week.
How often do you put on makeup?
Every day.
How often do you travel?
Every day for work.
How often do you post to social media?
Twice a week.
How often do you change jobs?
Once a year.
How often do you listen to music?
Every day.
How often do you eat chocolate?
3 times a week.
How often do you change your hair color?
Once a month.
How often do you go hiking?
Never.
How often do you go to the beach?
Once a year.
How often do you visit the dentist?
Every 6 months.
How often do you wash your hands?
At least 3 times a day.
Thank you very much for sharing your answers.
You're welcome. Bye.